Okay, we're off and running, everyone. This is Megan Doherty. We're at Lama Foundation in New Mexico at a retreat over the weekend that Lama has founded or sponsored. And Megan is here from Boulder, Colorado, and she's a single mom. One kid, two kids?
One kid,
One
3-year-old right now.
Okay, all right. And tell us sort of your circumstances that prompted you to come here and what you may or may not get, or...
Coming here to Lama for the weekend?
Yes, yes.
Well, community is really in my heart and in my life. Yeah, speaking of which.
That's right.
This is Jace, this is my son.
Hi,
Can you
Jace.
say hi to the camera? We're doing an interview. You're on a little newsletter right now. Can you go find Araya and ask her, and Mama Megan will be up in just a little bit. Well, I'm not quite available right now. I don't know what you need me to do, but I can't do it right now. So, can you go ask the woman in purple over there? See the woman in the purple? Or how about Robert in the blue coat? Robert could help you. My point exactly.
Yeah, I was say what a perfect illustration of the things that just come up any time,
Yeah,
right?
it really does take a village, and parenting is so full on, and parenting is overtime full on. Single parenting is overtime full on.
Right, right.
So it really takes everyone to really help out if they feel called. I know I have. It feels like a movement that's wanting to birth, and if we're really to till this soil, which feels like concrete, and how to make a new way emerge from soft soil, we really have to dig in our heels, and I would say it's been rather difficult so far, but trying to till the soil, which feels like concrete, and uprooting the ways that we're so ingrained in our nuclear families and our single living situations and the institutions that we're in, and living in the city, and how the many different places that
Hello, cat.
you can't start over.
This is life. This is real life. This is not phony. It's not It's not scripted.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, we don't have a whole crew.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we're really to make a new way, and I truly do feel like people are seeking a new way. I know for me, it didn't resonate to live in nuclear families and to follow just the everyday norm of going to. I did go to college, but as far as,
if I may, did you graduate?
I didn't graduate.
Or
no.
what? Did you specialize in anything while you were there? Or?
I was studying biopsychology. This was mind-body science before it was named mind-body science. So this was back in '97, and I was very interested in what is the phenomena between mind-body psychology, but so it wasn't really back in the schools back then.
Okay.
And I ended up leaving after 3 years of just hardcore science and felt like there was a lot more, and I ended up going over to Italy. And I had an awakening experience, and it kind of broke open the right side of my brain. I did art, poetry, and wine, and focused on all the right brain stuff over there. So I lived out of the country for many years, and it really made me see a different way of living. The Italian culture is so connected, and they're so emotionally open and connected. So different than our culture is. Yes, sweetheart.
We're in the Alps with
Thank you.
With the friend where we were pulling on his shirt.
Oh, Sam? I don't know.
Started up. You were talking about going to Italy and being an awakening
experience, right? So I really got to see how other cultures do it, and I actually didn't think I would come back to the States. So ultimately, I did. And got to see the juxtaposition of how we live in this culture, which is incredibly disconnected.
Right.
And the Italians live with their grandmothers and their uncles and aunts and everything, and it's a full-on community endeavor raising kids.
Right.
And the kids are the central part of the culture over there. So you walk into a room and there's a child, and everyone gravitates toward the child. Whereas I found in the United States, it's a child-averse culture.
Huh.
And so I know my parents, they would ask us to stay in the room upstairs if they had a party, so the kids weren't really allowed in the space. And I understand container, but the fundamental difference is that one really celebrates and includes the children versus having them on the outskirts and on the fringes.
Gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
So being a single parent, to tie that all together.
If I may,
Sure.
did you purposely choose to do that?
To be a single parent?
Yes.
I would say it was probably 75-25.
Okay, all right.
I knew my way, it was community, and it was a very non-traditional relationship that I was in.
Uh-huh.
Well, non-traditional in that he's a lot older. He's 23 years older,
Uh-huh.
a senior.
Okay.
And I still deeply love him, and I know that we have a lot of power in our synergy together, but not as a traditional nuclear couple.
Right.
So there was a choice of saying yes to the child, but not necessarily to a traditional relationship. And
Right,
so
right.
it was forging a new way in that sense.
If I may, how old are you?
I'm 38,
Okay.
and his father is 23 years older, so he's.
That is unique, usually, somewhat.
But I deeply love him, and he's an incredible being, and also, forging a way in his own right of how to
Okay.
be here on Earth. So.
Gotcha. In that vein, with community, are you looking primarily for community? Would you ideally like to have a male partner in community with you? How might you expand on that?
Well, community is really my lifeblood, and I feel like there's a new way of living on the planet that's really being asked and being birthed, and I feel like I'm a part of that movement, and helping to raise children not just with a central primary caregiver, a mother and a father, or someone who might be stepping in as a father,
Right.
but a full-on, aunties, uncles, godmothers, whatever it
Right,
may be.
right.
So it's a shared collective experience, in that everyone has their own richness and their own uniqueness to offer that child in the form of, it's a currency.
Right.
And so my resistance to just putting him in daycare is precisely to have him schooled from people who I feel like are of similar heart and of consciousness of me, rather than just sticking him in institutions to just get the average,
Okay.
education.
Because of my own meditative experience and some extraordinary things that have happened, you mentioned awakening. Are you comfortable talking about that?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. What happened?
Well, in my experience, I read a few texts, and it was like my cosmic eggshell was just cracked open. And I was living in Florence, Italy, and I had
We get a little background symphony here. By the way, you've got a lovely smile.
This is the bell system, if you didn't know, at Lama. This is how everyone stays on time. It's a 15-minute bell until our next session, or maybe it's the 5-minute bell.
Excellent editorial. Thank you.
So no, and I think the bigger question is it an abiding awakening? Does it stay with you, or was it just a peak experience? And
Right,
And
right.
I largely, in my own humility, can say that it was a peak experience of really recognizing our unity. And I was in Florence, Italy, and had enough experience over the course of a year and a half of kind of breaking out of where I was. I went over there when I was 19, and very much like an all-American girl, was varsity, straight A student, following the whole, like, going to college and do it. And I went over there, and it just cracked me right open. So I had 3 days of not eating, not drinking, and really seeing the Renaissance full on, and really seeing what is our central calling right now, and that is to awaken. I look at it as Buddha and Jesus and Muhammad and all of these guides of ours these days. They were at the top of the mountain, and they saw the sunrise first. And now the sunrise is coming down the mountain. More and more and more of us are waking up to that reality.
What a lovely metaphor. God. I may steal that one from you.
It's not copyrighted. It's me.
Thank you. Yes.
So yeah,
I'm just thinking, everything that's been said is lovely and it's great. And there's things I would imagine we could go on forever in
Sure.
certain lines.
Yeah.
Is there anything you would like to say? The people who will be watching this, by and large, are interested in one degree or another in consciousness and/or community.
Beautiful.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, I'd really say if we're trying to make, if we're really trying to carve a new way,
Uh-huh.
it is with being with the children, and it is holding the children in the center of it, and it is supporting the parents who are with the children so that they are resourced in their own spiritual practice to offer the children the heights of their spiritual practices.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a single mother, touching into the paradigm that is our current culture and this great epidemic that is single parenthood, and particularly single motherhood has such tremendous grief with it and so much energy, and it really hits on a sore point in our culture.
Right.
And it's ultimately compounded with not being connected to the land, and that's one of the levels that I really took deeply, is feeling like I was being under-resourced and I was being so tapped, just like our Mother Earth is, and how that can no longer continue. And how is it that we really create a big enough container to hold all of that and to hold the new ones that are coming in, because these guys coming in are just phenomenal beings, and they
Right.
know what they're doing and they know what they're stepping into, and that is
Right.
what I was aware with my son, is that he's well aware of the changes on earth and that he's here to help with it.
Huh.
And the trials and tribulations that I've had as a single parent, trying to make my way through and fighting for life, down to a home birth, down to saying no to vaccinations, in utero, and just how much our culture tries to indoctrinate you in so many different ways. And it really feels like fighting for real life and forming a way of living that is outside of our current paradigm and really creating a new one. So I feel like we can live alone until we have children, and then when we have children, we really need each other. And that's part of the sharpening edge. I have lots of sand in my oyster. Hopefully that pearl is going to be really shiny because it's been hard. But the proof is in the pudding, and my son is all children are incredible beings, and I think the gift of being in community and to have the resources of so many different hearts and hands invested in that child
Right.
is what we need.
Yes.
So community for me really is the way of being, apart from the sustainability of it and sharing needs and resources. And, I can go down the gamut. But in
Right.
large part, I don't know many other parents who are doing this and who are really committed to seeking out a different way of being that's outside of city norms.
Right.
And that, question still stands. I'm in the city right now, and how are we creating that within the city? So currently my own living situation is that after trying to live at an off-grid community for a year and being the only single mother there, being the only mother there, not only an unpartnered but single mother there with no other mothers, no other children, it was incredibly isolating.
Right.
So
right.
we returned to the city and are connected with our community there, and Wholesome Funny Farm, but they are not quite ready for the next generation. The house is too small, so I'm now currently sharing a house with another mother and her two children. It is a little illegal in Boulder, so we are
A little what now?
illegal.
Oh, legal. Okay, gotcha.
Illegal.
Gotcha.
In Boulder, they have a rule that you can't have more than 3 unrelated people in a house. So, full-on rebellion and revolutionary. I own it. But it's a beautiful household, and it's just two mothers that are, with each other and working through it. And
Okay.
it'll last us for a time, but ultimately, I'd like to settle on land with other parents who are also really passionate about creating sustainable life and relationship with spiritual practice.
Neat. Megan, thank you so much.
So welcome.
Thank you. And
Yes.
that's be it for today then. All right.